We've had a wonderful history in Boston, and I'm going to ask my colleague Naomi to just put up slide number 8 of our deck. And by the way, don't get scared. We're not going to go through all 25 slides this morning. They'll all be sent to you after the event for you to study them a little bit. But if you take a look at this slide, you'll see our history in Massachusetts since our first cohort 6 years ago. As you can see, we've trained well over 500 businesses, 53% BIPOC owned, 51% women owned. By the way, the numbers nationally last year in this COVID environment, we had a surge of smaller businesses, overwhelmingly BIPOC and women owned. 3 out of every 4 companies we work with, the more than 1,200 companies we work with nationwide, are BIPOC owned, and 61% woman owned, and 43% are both BIPOC and woman owned. Getting back to Massachusetts, you can see companies that have been through the program have raised almost $100 million of capital, debt and equity capital. And that does not include companies that went through the program last year, 116 of them. They will be surveyed later this year, and that will augment the total. They've had average revenue growth of 61% and have created over 2,000 good paying jobs. And those are only the people that responded to the survey. We only publish what we know, in fact, is the case. So we're asking each of you to do one thing, in addition to saying thank you for being here and thank you for everything you've done for ICCC. We're asking you to serve as a nominating partner. And if you serve as a nominating partner and even nominate one business, we're going to have an amazing, amazing experience with our new cohort on May 18th and 20th. More about that a little bit later on. And Naomi, if you can just quickly go back to slide number 3, you'll see a broad range of nominating partners. This is not inclusive. This is simply some examples of the diverse array of organizations, companies, individuals, for-profit and non-profit that serve as nominating partners. That's how we trained 116 businesses last year. Together, our goal is to help build sustainable small business ecosystems throughout our under-resourced neighborhoods and communities, including Massachusetts's 26 gateway cities. Our mission at ICIC is inclusive economic prosperity, but if you ask, what's our vision that gets us up every morning? It's to end concentrated poverty and to close our racial wealth gap. So in just a couple of minutes that I have left, I've got a lot of people to whom I want to say thank you. I want to start with our partner speakers today. They'll be introduced a little bit later on, so I won't get into great details, but Casey Baines, Senior Policy and Communications Manager for the Greater Boston Chamber. She's been a wonderful nominating partner. And I also want to recognize Bea Jimenez, Director of Economic Opportunity at the Chamber. They have a wonderful program called Pacesetters, and we've worked very closely with them over the years. Ed Gaskin will also be speaking, Executive Director of the Greater Grove Hall Main Streets. You've seen his columns in Boston Business Journal. He's a wonderful nominating partner, 75 nominations last year. And also Alberto Calvo, founder of Stop and Compare Markets. He is a wonderful partner and single-handedly accelerated the growth of Latinx-owned businesses in this program when he first came to know us 2 years ago. I want to recognize 3 of our board members who are here today: Barry White, George Gendron, and our newest board member, Kim Sawyer, who's an alumna of the ICCC program and a multiple winner of the Inner City 100 Award. I want to thank some of our sponsors who are with us. They're the people who underwrite this program. That's how we can offer it at no cost to the participants. I want to thank Maggie McDonough, Community Partnerships Associate at Santander Bank. They're a sponsor of many programs, including the Cultivate Small Business Program. I want to thank Bank of America, wonderful sponsors. They made the founding grant back in 2005, and they still fund us all over the country. I want to thank 2 of our partners who have been with us from day one in Boston and in Massachusetts, Doug Chamberlain of Appleton Partners and John McQuillan of Triumvirate Environmental. Thanks to both of you for your significant investments, and particularly your investments in new technology tools that you'll learn about a little bit later in this presentation. Where would we be without our coaches and our mentors? We'd be nowhere, because coaching is critical to this program. So please, Dick Rossman, accept our gratitude for everything that you've done, a former co-chair of SCORE in Boston, a general business coach, an avid supporter of our program, a lifelong friend of the Grossman family. I want to thank Steve Bookbinder, who's here. Steve teaches talent management in the ICCC program, and you're likely to hear him in one location or another, both this year and in previous years. A wonderful dear friend and somebody who knows leadership and leadership effectiveness very, very well. I want to thank our alumna who's going to be speaking a little bit later. That's Cheryl Straughter from Soleil. She's the chef and co-owner of Soleil. She was a 2020 participant. And interesting fact, she was one of 15 chefs who participated in the March 8 International Women's Day takeout event. 2 other alums of our program were part of the 15 as well. And finally, I want to thank Melinda Leon, program manager of WeBank New England, the Center for Women and Enterprise, who's been a wonderful nominating partner both this year, last year, and over the years. And finally, Ingrid Beckles, manager of supplier diversity at Mass General Brigham, a wonderful friend of the program. And I'm not sure they're here today, but we have 3 critical partners with whom we work very closely throughout COVID on capital access, on grants, on technical assistance. And I'm referring, of course, to our 3 dear friends, Betty Francisco, co-founder of Amplify Latinx, Shagun Idowu, president and CEO of BECMA, the Black Economic Council of Massachusetts. And I think she's with us today. I want to thank Jen Fagel. Jen, the executive director of Commonwealth Kitchen. She has played as significant a role as anybody in making sure that Bostonians and people in this area had food on the table during COVID. And she, of course, is our wonderful partner with Santander Bank and Babson College in the Cultivate Small Business Program. So there you have it. A lot of gratitude, a lot of appreciation, optimism about 2021 as a year in which we can come out of this pandemic and get back to helping businesses not only survive and thrive. And to tell you more about the program, let me kick it back to Diego Portilla Mazal and his colleague, Maria Tata. Diego?
Thank you, Steve. And thank you once again to everybody for joining us today. And as Steve said, it falls on me to now tell you a little bit about the program. Many of you have worked with us for years, so it feels a little repetitive to talk about the program, but what have we done in the last year to adapt, and what are we asking you to tell small business owners that they're signing up for? In a nutshell, we like to call this a 40-hour mini MBA with 4 key elements. The opening seminar, which is held as a 2 half-day virtual Zoom experience, 2 non-consecutive but close days. We found that 1 full day was a little too much in a Zoom experience. In those seminars, we bring professors from across the country to teach strategy, marketing, entrepreneurial finance, talent management, and then we end that with networking and with a panel of resource providers. These are capital providers of different sorts and technical assistance providers, because most of last year, what we realized was a number of business owners did not even know about some of the resources that were available in their own communities. Many of you are here and you know just how difficult it has been in the last year to provide services to business owners who were not always aware of the presence or of the scope of services available. We follow that up with digital learning and webinars. I'm going to ask that everybody please mute themselves. I'm getting a lot of feedback here. We offer somewhere between 18 and 24 webinars a year on a wide variety of topics. They tend to be very tactical in nature, but some of them can lead to wider conversations. And this year, we're adding additional digital learning modules. We've been working with a local company called Extension Engine that built Harvard Business School's e-platform and has been helping us to continue to provide opportunities for our participants to get more learning, more exercises, and more targeted things for their businesses. We provide opportunities to connect with coaching, whether that be SCORE, and Dick Rossman has been mentioned in the room, the SBDCs, Pacific Community Ventures, an organization out of Oakland, California that does a lot of coaching for us, or it's capital partners such as Santander and Bank of America and Boston Impact Initiative and LISC and so many more that get a chance to step out of their banking hats and really provide in-depth one-on-one feedback to participants who are trying to access capital. So often what we hear is, I've approached a capital provider several times, been turned down every time, I don't really know why. And the why is what a coach can help provide. And then finally, the national conference. We will be hosting programs in over 20 cities this year, which means we will serve hopefully upwards of 1,200 business owners. If you can think of the power of networking amongst 75 to 100 businesses in the Boston area and great opportunities come out of that networking, imagine the power of that continuation of the learning and networking when you bring together businesses from all across the country to continue that connection. That is the program, and what we've done in the last year obviously has been to deliver the program in digital form, as many of you can expect. That was a normal pivot, but what we found from it is that with very careful structure, with the breakout rooms, with the careful use of polls and the chat features, that participants felt like they could engage more, they could volunteer more information, they could network throughout the day and not just at the particular times when they were being asked to network. And obviously we always hear breakout rooms are too short, but there's a lot of opportunity for peer learning and to create welcoming spaces for our participants to continue to learn from each other. So with all of that, it is my pleasure to introduce Cheryl Strotter to share her experience in the program last year. Cheryl has made some time in the middle of prepping for 400 people that event that they have going on today, as well as the event that Steve just mentioned. And Cheryl's restaurant in Nubian Square has been one of my favorites since they opened, not far from our office and not far from my home, so get to visit them even during the pandemic. So Cheryl, take it away.
Thank you, and I appreciate this opportunity to spend some time and share about my experience. So as a small business owner, sometimes we believe that we have to go it alone, and we develop this idea for our business, whatever it may be. And then with such passion and desire, we move forward and try to put all of the systems in place that we believe will make us successful. So here's the reality. Even though we think that we can do it all and we know a lot, there's always more power in increasing your network. And that's what I found with ICIC. I knew a lot of things about business, but the administrative part, the marketing, the social media, the individual admin things where I knew I was not as strong, I had to get some support. And that support was found through participating in ICIC. So in addition to, like they shared, the individual modules, you have coaching, and everybody has a different way of learning. And for me, learning is very hands-on. It's about talking about your business. It's about talking through the challenges. And during COVID, it was very difficult for Soleil. We opened, and remained open. We opened in 2018, and we remained open through the first 2 weeks of the COVID pandemic. And our business is housed within the headquarters of the Boston School Department. So our challenge became being profitable in an office building that no longer had staff, because rightfully so, everybody was working from home. So then we had to figure out how to remain sustainable and how to remain relevant. So in conversations with ICIC, we figured out something. And that something was we had to make a slight pivot, because the finances and our revenue just went downhill from the walk-in business aspect. So we pivoted, and I know that's a phrase that people are using a lot of nowadays, and we switched to doing a lot of catering. So to Diego's point, today we have 400 meals going out to one of our clients, and we have that on a weekly basis. We had a 3-month contract. Prior to COVID, we did not have that size contract. Tomorrow, we have a contract for 300 sandwiches going to one of our hospitals. So, you know, the network that ICIC has in the communication and the tentacles. I worked with Jen over at Commonwealth Kitchen. I worked with BECMA. I worked with other organizations within the ICIC family. So for me, it was critical to actually sit down and network. And that's what ICIC offers. It offers the ability to build on what you have. And in order to grow, we need support systems. So I don't know how long I should be speaking, but I hope that I have shared some enlightenment to what ICIC offers small businesses. We are, you know, in Roxbury, and we do have some challenges with our amount of revenue, but clearly we have grown since being a member of the organization and actually participating with other members within the ICIC family. So if you think about thinking about jumping in, then I would encourage you to do so.
Cheryl, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time in this very busy day and having taken the time to be a part of the program and take advantage of the webinars and the coaching and the networking and everything else that you did. So thank you. Obviously, Steve mentioned at the end of the day, we want to ask you to nominate businesses for the, just like Cheryl's, for this program. So the first thing you'll ask is, what are our program criteria? And we obviously have talked about the fact that we recruit from under-resourced communities. We want small business owners in those under-resourced communities. So it has to be an independent, for-profit or non-profit business, and the business owner or the decision maker ought to be able to be in the room. Have headquarters, physical operations, or be hiring primarily from economically distressed areas, whether that be LMI, our definition of inner cities, or opportunity zones, or a number of other factors that indicate an under-resourced community. These are established businesses. We do not work with startup companies. There are plenty of great programs that we refer people to if they are at that stage. So past proof of concept, doing okay. Most of the businesses in our program are doing more than $100,000 in revenue and growing from there. This year, obviously, we're looking to target in a number of different industries. We have obviously a lot of businesses in healthcare, businesses in food, entertainment, and construction, etc. So there are a lot of great opportunities and great businesses that will be learning all the elements that I talked about. We also heard from a number of our business, particularly in the greater Boston area, that there was need for support in Spanish. So we will be doing this cohort with simultaneous translation, finding resources for those business owners in language, connections to resources catering to Spanish-speaking communities, webinars conducted in Spanish as well as translated from English. So wanting to make sure that this opportunity is not just available to business owners who are entirely comfortable in English, but those who might just feel some more comfort in getting part of the elements in their native language. And to speak a little bit more about the process of how to work with us on this cohort, I'm going to turn the reins over to my colleague, Maria Tata. Maria?
Thank you, Diego, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you again, Cheryl, for sharing your story. I definitely miss going to the late and getting your breakfast. We used to go a lot since we were across the street from your office. So I look forward to the day that I can do that again. So as Diego and Steve mentioned, my name is Maria Tata. I'm a senior program coordinator with the ICCC team, and I'll be leading the Boston cohort. So I look forward to working closely with all of you. So the main way you can get involved with the ICCC program is by becoming a nominating partner. As a nominator, you would identify and nominate businesses in your network to participate in the ICCC program, as well as share program information to your network. We know many of you work with your business owners and engage with them in different ways, so we have multiple tracks of the best way that we can reach them. The first one is our more traditional approach. This is the traditional nominating process. This is when you would submit to us a list of business owners and their contact information, and I would reach out to them, alert them of their nomination, and encourage them to apply. A second way would be hosting an informational session where we would be able to connect with the business owners in your network directly and explain the program to them. And a third way would be sharing through social media or a newsletter or news blast. And we would provide graphics and little blurbs as well. So all you have to do is put it in your newsletter and send it out. We know many of you are working with the great initiatives in this area to support your network. And nominating for ICCC is another great way to help them access our resources and is an opportunity for you to gain exposure at our events and to be known as a key partner. In addition, by nominating for our program, ICCC would also nominate for your program and share your initiatives with our alumni. I know we have many alumni in the room, so it's great to see you all again, and we encourage you to nominate fellow business owners in your network who you think can take advantage of this program. Another opportunity to stay engaged with the ICCC program is to be a collaborator. As a collaborator with ICCC, we would work together to provide timely and relevant resources for our community by utilizing our network of subject matter experts. Here are a few examples of how to collaborate with us. These are just examples and they're not the only ways, but for example, we could present webinars together. You could volunteer as a capital or general business coach, or you could co-host a panel discussion on relevant topics to the business ecosystem. Similar to nominating, becoming a collaborator is a great way to gain exposure, build connections with other resource providers in the greater Boston area, as well as across the country. And once again, for our alumni in the room, you can be involved as a collaborator by hosting networking sessions and engaging with fellow alumni on relevant topics. On our next slide, we highlight the nomination process, from the first step of how to identify businesses to actually submitting nominations. Once again, as Steve mentioned earlier, you'll be getting these slides tomorrow, so you can look at this in more detail. And as always, you can reach out to me if you have any questions. On the next slide, here's our nomination timeline. We are accepting nominations until April 16th, and then we are accepting applications until April 30th. We encourage you within the next month to begin identifying and submitting nominations and reaching out to your potential nominees. And on the next slide, we have our save the date for the Boston opening seminar, which will be on Tuesday, May 18th and Thursday, May 20th. As Diego mentioned, this is the great event where we have our professors come together and we have a panel as well. We really encourage you guys to attend because this is a great chance to see the program in action as well as check in on your nominees. And on the next slide, this is just kind of an overview of everything that I just went over, how to nominate, how to reach out to be a collaborator, as well as the application link. And last but not least, connect with us. Here's Steve, Diego's, my contact information. Please feel free to reach out with questions, concerns, nominations. We really look forward to working with every single one of you. And from here, I'm excited to introduce our 3 partner speakers. We've been honored to work with these speakers over the last few years. I was just saying to Alberto at the start of the meeting, in 2019, I used to see him almost every week at an event, so I miss seeing everyone's faces. We're really excited to have them here with us today. First, we'll have Casey Baines, Senior Policy and Communications Manager from the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. She will be followed by Ed Gaskin, who is the Executive Director of the Greater Grove Hall Main Streets. And after Ed, we'll have Alberto Capo, the founder of Stop and Compare Markets. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Casey.
Great. Thank you, Maria, and thank you to the ICIC team. I'm so happy to be here virtually with everyone to, be in community together, to talk about the power of this moment. As Maria was saying, I work at the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce, and we are such proud partners in this endeavor to support small businesses, to support businesses that through a very long history, have been marginalized, and to find the power within this moment. It has been such a tough year, such a tough and impossible at times year. But with partners like ICIC, with the leadership of Steve, driving forward this moment of the power of inclusivity, the power of sustainability, the power of coming together to support our businesses. I know that anything is capable. So I am here to say that we are proud nominating partners. If you're considering joining this force, there shouldn't be anything holding you back at this point in the presentation. But I'm happy to share that the Chamber also is active in this ecosystem in the form of a couple programs. There's the Pace Setters program, which is looking at corporate partners and how they can increase their supplier diversity spend. We have an event series there that is called Doing Business with the corporate partner. So there's been doing business with the Red Sox, for instance. And then we also have Small Business Strong, which is another exciting initiative that was born out of the COVID-19 pandemic. And it offers free technical assistance to small businesses throughout our region. So I'll include those links in our chat, and I welcome you to peruse those. But thank you so much for being here, and thank you to the ICIC team, especially Steve, for your leadership throughout the years. We're so grateful. Passing it over to Ed.
Thank you. And thank you, Steve and Maria. My name is Ed Gaskin. As already said, I'm the Executive Director of Greater Grove Hall Main Streets, and we do 3 things. We focus on economic development, urban planning, and community development in the Greater Grove Hall area. We've been fortunate to be able to nominate people to the program over the last couple of years, and it was becoming increasingly harder because there's just not that many businesses of that size in our district. And the ones that had achieved the scale necessary to get in the program were always too busy to participate. Then when COVID-19 came and some of the requirements were changed, that made a big difference for us. For the last 3 years, we had showcased African and African-American founded technology businesses, and we were able to nominate them so they could participate virtually. And just with the nomination, I had received several emails from people who were so pleased and grateful that they had been nominated for the program. And a number of them actually participated, which was great. And at the end of the year, just a few months ago, at December, when we did our annual appeal, I noticed that I had gotten a PayPal because somebody had made a donation. And when I went to read the note, it was from one of the businesses that had actually been nominated and went to the program. And they said they were making a donation because they were so appreciative that they had been selected and participated in the program, and they were featured in the ICI Alumni Spotlight. and that the coaching and stuff that they had received helped them pivot and survive and grow in the COVID era. And the note said, "Dear Ed, I donated after reading your last newsletter, but you are the main reason I got into ICIC." So, you know, when you get some positive feedback like that, you want to go out and try to nominate people and find people, because you know that the program is delivering, or else I would have got a different kind of note from the participants. So thank you guys for what you're doing. Thanks for making this program available. And I look forward to getting as many people as I can into the program once a year. Once again.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Alberto Calvo. I'm the founder of Stop and Compare Markets. I was a alumnus, I guess, back, I forget, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, and went through the program. I was also recommended by a friend and didn't know about the program. And I must say that it was an opened my mind in many, many ways. What I remember of the program, and I keep in tabs with the network, is 3 things. First of all, value. And the value, that first seminar that we attended, I remember it was in the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, was the highlight speaker. There was Michael Porter. For those of you that do not know Michael Porter, he is the guru of strategic planning. And I had read some of his books, but then hearing him speak at that initial event was, it topped it off. The second thing is practicality. You walk out of the program with practical ideas on how to build and nurture your business, small business. And the last thing, the third thing is support. The program has a support network after you complete the program with peers, which is invaluable. And that, to me, those 3 attributes basically convinced me that I have to support ICCC in the future ahead. And right now, I'm retired from Stop and Compare. My daughter Vivian has taken the reins, and she's doing a wonderful job. And she's gonna be my first referral, and I have a couple others in mind. And I just want to finish by saying that now I'm devoting most of my time in the Hispanic American Institute, working with Nadera Acevedo, and we have established a Zoom webinar that we hold once a month. And I'm going to invite Diego offline to see if we can bring him to one of these Zoom dialogues that we call it. So thank you for the invite. And I just want to shout out to Sara Perez. I think she's out there, and she is a go-getter from Lawrence and has a good network there. So Sara, I suggest that and I urge you to recommend some of those business owners you know out in Lawrence. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. And with that, we'll open the mics to any questions you may have. The program, the process, or anything else that we may have forgotten to share. Please go ahead and unmute yourselves if you have any questions. Maria, I am not hearing any questions, so do you want to lead us off into our breakouts?
Yeah, absolutely. I also haven't seen any questions come in, but if you do have any questions at any point, you have all of our emails, email us, call us, we're happy to answer them. So the final part of today's event is we'll be having a networking session. My colleague Mary has set us up into breakout rooms. There'll be about 4 to 5 people per room. So we just want you to, introduce yourself and the organization, share any updates from your organization and different ways to connect. And we hope that you'll make some new partners and connections today, and we'll be doing 2 rounds of this. And thank you everyone again for coming. We look forward to working with you and staying in contact throughout the year.